Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and another video. In our last one we took delivery of our new Femi bandsaw, and I mentioned in the end of that video that we were going to build a stand so we could move it around. So you can see we're not in the biggest of workshops, and being able to move tools around is quite essential. If long lengths of metal come in, we need to move stuff around. So in today's video I'm going to roll some footage of the day, and it includes us building a stand and putting it to use pretty much. At the end of the video I'll give a summary of what we built, why we went for that sort of design, and how it's going to help us. So enjoy the video and I'll catch you at the end.
What is better, having the table slightly higher or the table slightly lower?
Slightly lower.
I agree.
So there's only one place for a build like this to start, and that is at the drawing board. So before we go straight into cutting metal, we want to get a rough idea of what we're aiming for and how we're going to achieve that. So we're taking some dimensions of our wheel heights, the bandsaw size in general, where our fixing points are going to be, and we're getting that all established before we go into it. No official drawings, but just a nice sketch to work from, so we have a good idea of what this thing's going to end up like. The metal we're using for this is some 40mm box 2mm wool. It's quite heavy duty, but let's bear in mind this saw weighs around 185 kilos, so it is not light. We want this to be heavy duty and last a long time, so that is why we use this style of metal. So, as you guys can see, we are finishing up the cutting of this box section, and the saw's performed really well for its first debut. And before this metal goes onto the table, we're adding 45-degree bevels to each end, so it gives us a nice area to put the weld in, just so this thing can be as strong as possible. And here we're using our fixture table to drop a 90-degree jig on there and start fixturing this thing together, making sure it is square and flat.
What I'm actually going to do is have a look at your end.
Yeah, 8, 7.
Cut them out square.
8, 7, yeah.
Right,
we have got the frame all tacked up, and we're moving on to some CNC plasma cutting. So we sat around and we had a little think, and we came up with a bracket design to hold these caster wheels in place. We're cutting them out of 5mm mild steel. It's just standard grades like S275, but these will be more than substantial. So we're cutting 4 of these out, 1 for each corner, and we're also letting the machine mark a point in the centre, and this will act as a sort of centre punch for us to drill a hole out post-process, so we get a nice accurate hole once these parts are cut and off the table. So we get them cut and they come straight off, and we have a little test fit just to check our measurements worked out, and it's looking pretty good. So straight over to the drill press, putting holes in the centre of these, and then we're going to go back and test fit them onto the brackets, as you can see here. So to finish up the rest of this assembly, we are also cutting some 5mm blanks. So these are going to act as side supports for the main bracket and lift the caster up away from the base. This gives us the right ride height for our bandsaw. So we got them cut and they went straight onto the frame. Everything's just being tacked in place, as we don't want to go too crazy. So taking our time, two of us makes it a lot easier, and we're working our way around adding these in place, as you can see. Before the top plate goes on, we grind a bevel on to this area, once again just to give us a nice area to get a strong weld in, and then I tack in these top brackets. Everything's still tacked at this stage. We wanted to make sure it worked as a concept before we spent the time welding it out and couldn't make any changes. And the final test piece was to take the caster wheel and bolt it up. This gave us a really good indicator whether it was going to work or not. You can see we're checking for full 360 movement and that the frame is clearing the table. So we're happy with that, and we're going to continue fitting these up.
Oh fuck yeah. Yeah, 15. Yeah.
With the test fit going well, all that was left to do was add some fixing points. I didn't capture much footage here, but you can see we've added 4 captive nuts for the bandsaw to screw down into, and we're just checking here that the threads weren't knackered from welding and they're all good. But that was the end of the day's work, and we were left just to weld this thing out and make it super solid before we fitted the bandsaw. So we're all welded out and we're on the home straight. We need to fit these wheels back on, and then we go about the difficult and not pretty job of fitting this thing onto the stand. We fully admit we could do with some lifting equipment, but for this exact reason we built this stand. So you can see it's an absolute brute to move. We're giving it the all, but it is an absolute pain to wrestle this thing about. So we spend about 30 minutes wrestling this thing on, and we finally get it into position. It's a little sketchy, but we get there in the end, and we always seem to find a way to move this heavy stuff. Spilling the coolant, in hindsight we would have put that in after, but you live and learn. But it's not too bad. We're nearly there, and we do eventually get this in place, but you can see it's not easy. Having getting that done, you can see we are very happy to have it in place. A little tidy up, and then we do the last few bits. So we're gonna put our bolts in that we put the captive nuts in for earlier, and then we're gonna wind the feet up for the first time. And this was a bit harder than first expected, mainly due to the full weight pressing down rather than just sitting nicely on the floor. But there you go, that is our saw moving for the first time. Much easier, literally one hand, one person, and you can move this thing about, which is so important for us in a small workshop. That's the stand built. I hope you enjoyed that footage and the voiceover. I hope it gave an insight into what we did. I know it wasn't too detailed, but I was trying to film and capture it all at the same time. But that's the stand fully done. I'll stick a clip in now of me moving this around on my own, which is one of the most important things about it. We want to be able to turn up to the workshop, cut some lengths or cut something, and be able to do it easily and safely. I think this worked pretty well. You can see it's nice and solid. The caster wheels work brilliantly. I can recommend them for anyone wanting to move heavy equipment or be able to lock it down. As you saw, the wheels have the casters with a foot master in them, so you can roll that down and then lock it out, so it essentially sits on 4 solid feet, which is a brilliant feature, especially if you're trying to lock this in place, level it up. You can do that and then know it's not going to go anywhere. It acts as if it was bolted to the floor. So I think overall, for a bit of box section and a day's work, we've turned this really nice bandsaw into an even more usable bit of kit for us. So end goal's complete and we're dead happy with it. It needs a lick of paint, but I thought I'll throw that in another video if we ever get it done. Right now we want to get cutting and get building things. So yeah, that's the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. There's plenty more content coming. I've got things in the pipeline, just finding the time to film it and get it edited. But if you enjoyed the video, drop a comment, let us know what you think of the stand, what you would have done differently, and even better, if you want to see more content, subscribe to the channel. It means a lot and yeah, helps us get a little bit bigger. But until the next one, take it easy and I'll see you then.